Okay, folks, today I've got something interesting here, so let me concentrate on everything and try to make this good content for everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Brian. I make videos on my 2019 Infiniti Q50S Signature Edition rear-wheel drive 3.0T. So I want to address, I've been thinking about this for now coming on 2 years. I've had this car just short of 2 years, and I'm on the forums, not as much as I used to be. I'm not really into the forum much, but Facebook, I see all kinds of different posts. Belong to a couple different Q50, Q60 groups, and so I want to address. I made a previous video about are these worth buying used or new? Are they good cars, whatnot? And I have always told everyone I love my car. It's the best car I've ever had. I take very good care of mine. I bought it new, so that tells people that I bought into a good car, and I take care of it. I change its oil routinely, 4,000 to 5,000 miles when I run it hard. And so that's the basis of my car. But do I think, here's the big question, do I think that this car, not the 3.7, I don't own that one, I haven't had it. I have my opinions on it, but I'm not going to go into that today. This is the 3.0T turbo car, Infiniti's turbo car, Q50, Q60. So do I think it's worth buying used? And I've thought about this, and I've played these scenarios over and over in my head. So I thought it was time to make a video and share, because a lot of people that come to my web page or my YouTube page, they're interested in the car. They've seen it, they like it, they have friends that have them, and they like the look of the car. They like the 3.0T. It's easily moddable, but that's part of the problem. But we'll go into that in just a minute. But is it worth buying used? And my new opinion, after reading lots of posts, seeing lots of feedback on this car, is no. I would not buy this car used. Now, with that said, if you can buy the right car, then I definitely would buy a 3.0T over a 3.7. That is, if you buy it right. There's all kinds of scenarios, and this video may get a little spliced together because I have lots of things to say, and I'm not the best and most precise in getting all my thoughts together in a row and having it come out perfect. So just bear with me. With that stated, if you're going to buy this car, you got to buy it right, and that is, do your research. I would personally not buy this car online. I would not buy it from Carvana or any of these other, I don't even know, because I'm not even entertaining the idea of buying this car that way. I would only buy this car in person, and maybe from an individual or from a dealership I trust with extra warranty. They've got a history on the car. It's not a 2-owner car or 3-owner car. It's definitely not been crashed and the reconditioned or come from God knows where it could have been flooded out, damaged with water, with all these past floods we've had over the last 2 or 3 years. I've had people comment, and buy, untitled, or what is the unconditioned, or the title that it doesn't come with a valid title. I just can't recall right now, so I'm not going to goof that up. And they're like, man, is this a good deal? It's people buying these cars, and I'll just say younger people, because a little bit older people are a little bit more brighter on this subject, but not all, that they have a certain amount of money and they're trying to buy more car at a cheaper value, and in the end, I think you get what you pay for, and these people that are getting these lowball deals on these cars, and they're walking away, yeah, I got this awesome car, and there's a reason why things are cheaper. If I sold my car, I would demand top dollar, because I know its condition, I know the way it's been treated, I got the records on it. You can look at the interior. You can look at my car. It's never been crashed. It's never been damaged. It's never been run off road. I got records for all the oil changes. I mean, it's just a solid car. So you pay more for that. You pay less for a car that has less history, could have been damaged, doesn't have a valid title. And this also gets into the scenario where younger people buy these, and it could be older people too, because I'm an older person. I'm 50, and I have modded my car, but I've done it very, very well. I've done it, if you watched my past videos, I'm very, very meticulous. When I install things, when I do things, I'm very calculated. I've made some bad choices on, different tires, and going different wheel route where, ultimately for my purpose, I'd like to have done it a little differently. So my end goal would be, I wouldn't have spent money on things that didn't get me there, but I am very meticulous about my car. And so when you buy these, you don't want to get something with a lot of unknowns, okay? I mean, you've got to hear me. And all these cars people buy, unless you know the person and you have a relationship with the dealership and they're shooting you straight, you're buying cars that are unknown. I mean, unknown as the world goes. And this also gets into, and I've thought about this, and I've known it, and I've researched it, and I've talked to my tuner. I've seen other tuners. I put my common sense together, and I've added this up, and then I've seen people post. I know people. It's the turbo reliability. So first of all, when you turn these up, when I had a Ford Focus ST turbo car, and when I turned it up with a Cobb access port with one of the top manufacturers, I'm drawing a blank on it right now, one of the top tuners of that car at the time, and I just can't recall right at this minute, but when I turned it up, I was on 93. I didn't do E85, but when I, modified it up a little bit, which was a big deal for that car, it's like 25 horsepower, maybe 30 horsepower. There are some people that put bigger turbos on there and ran, a mixture of e-gas and sprayed methanol and water and meth injection that got more power out of that. But that was like 25 or 30 horsepower, 20 horsepower maybe. And so that was like turning that up just a little bit. And so when you get these cars tuned, you're turning them up like 110, 120, 130 horsepower, just boom, like that, ECU tune. That's a phenomenal increase in horsepower and more wear and tear on the motor and the drivetrain. And not alone, let alone the people that are E85 conversion and doing all this stuff and turning it up 150, 160, 170 horsepower and 200 torque. I think mine jumped up, 160 maybe torque over the factory 300 horsepower car, but you're putting more strain on the turbo. So in the engine, everything that is driving this car is being strained more, so you're gonna wear it out a little faster. Now, I'm not saying, you want your turbos to immediately fail, and that's where we get into this scenario. A lot of people buy these cars, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, early 40-year-olds, I'm assuming, and instantly what's on their mind is downpipes, lower downpipes, full downpipes. Gotta have it. It's like freaking crack candy. And then, in addition, I think that's the first thing that is their want to go to part, or that or blow-off valves. Okay, blow-off valves. That's first. That's not as detrimental, but lower downpipes, full downpipes. And then they get a catback exhaust. So they've totally, we got to free up that exhaust. We got to free up that exhaust. It's choking from the factory. Yes and no. Infiniti designed this car to run the way it was with its 4 cats. And so when you remove those cats, you're taking a lot of that away from what Infiniti designed, okay? And if the key is removing your cats is okay, but you gotta be tuned for it. All these people you see that, that bought a 16, a 17, and this was 2 years ago and this year, 2016 or 17, 18, 19, they bought this car and they started posting information on this car. And they immediately took their cats off. It's got to get a lower downpipe. You got to get a full downpipe. That's where all the power is. Hundreds of horsepower. And then you take the cats off, and then the next thing is sound. Got to have sound. So you free up the exhaust. You've taken away everything that motor is built on and to run right, and you're blowing it out the exhaust. And then the next thing is the JB4, which is and I've talked about it in previous videos, maybe a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, that the JB4 is a boost tuner or a boost controller, and it's faking out the ECU, and the ECU thinks it's running its factory set horsepower or boost and other parameters, and the boost controller is getting that information and it's turning it up. And so your ECU is doing the best it can to thinking that it's running, at this output, but the boost controller is turning up, so the ECU is seeing that you're doing all these extra things, and it's trying to compensate. But because you haven't tuned it, it's not ultimately doing what it needs to do. It's trying its best. So people bought these cars with maybe 20,000 miles on them, and they drove them for another 10,000, up to 30,000 miles, and their turbos went out. Well, there you go. And I saw just the other day, some guy was online and goes, "My turbos are going. I'm sick of this car's a piece of junk," and someone commented, "Well, you gotta what's your setup? Lower down pipes, catback FE or whatever the popular catback exhaust, and a JB4." Well, and he goes, "There you go. You gotta be tuned." When you remove the cats and you free flow the exhaust, and you even put blow-off valves on there, because those things are fighting the ECU. The ECU is constantly fighting instead of running in harmony. And so it doesn't destroy your turbos right away. So all these people that bought 16, 17s, and 18s drove their car over a year, and that's about what it takes. And then they're like, "Damn, my turbos went out. It's the car's fault. These crappy turbos." I mean, they're not ultra high, the highest quality turbos, but that's what you get kind of when you buy a car. You're not buying a car that comes with the highest Garrett or different turbos, the high-end turbos. I mean, they're speccing these out for thousands of cars. So ultimately, the manufacturers are trying to get a good deal, but trying to fight between the cheapest and the highest price, but they're trying to make cars more affordable, also increase their profit. So that's just part of the problem. And so these people that are selling their cars are now into their 30,000, 35, 40,000 miles. "My turbo's crapped out. The car's a piece of junk." Well, you have a lot to do with that, or the person that before you, that you bought your car and you knew nothing about, they had their cars running like that. So this leads to a lot of problems now. And so it's just a debacle because people are doing a lot of these things to these cars. So goes back to, should I buy this used? Nope. I wouldn't buy these used knowing what I know now. Unless I knew the car's history. So that is very, very important. You gotta buy the right car. You've got to do some investigation. You've got to get a feel for when you talk to the person that's selling it to you, and have some trust built up with them, or the person that you're dealing with, person to person. And you've got to be able to look at the car and see some things. Get under the car, look up under the car, man. If it takes a little extra money to put it up on a lift, I mean, a lot can be seen from the underneath of a car. My car has some dirt on it and stuff, but it looks solid. I mean, all the paint looks good. I see some of these cars that are 2 years old put up on a lift, and they look like just hammered dog piss. I mean, they look just like acid has been. And I know, different people drive these in different situations in different states, and there's different environment and different weather, and that plays a large part in it. But you can take care of your car in a harsh environment and not have it look just like a beat up dog bone. I mean, a dog bone. I mean, my dog rips his bones up and they look like just freaking awful in such a short amount of time. I mean, and you know, I can drive, my car's 2 years old and you can lift my car up and everything still looks really, really solid underneath. And plus too, you know, people will hit things, they'll drive over things. There's a lot of damage that can happen to the bottom of the car. And then you can also look at the panels and see if it's been repainted, if it hasn't been reported that it's been painted. There's lots of telltale signs, so do your homework before you buy one of these cars. You don't want to buy into a car you know nothing about because it's likely not been treated well. Bottom line. I mean, go in there being suspicious. I mean, the car with the turbos, with these turbos, or any car with the turbo setup, has got to have its oil changed religiously on a schedule, depending on how you drive it. If you drive it super easy and the weather's very, very mild, then you can go longer on an oil change. But if you're driving the car hard and it's really, really hot, you know, in different situations, I mean, you're going to have to change your oil more, and because the turbos rely on that oil too, not just the motor, but the turbos. So when you decrease the lubricant, you know, the lubricant properties of that oil, and the oil breaks down, then your turbos are running hotter, and as we've turned the turbos up, you're producing more heat and more friction, and so you're tearing up your turbos over time. I mean, you're kind of damaging them slowly anyways as you drive a car for years and years and years, but you increase that over, you know, tenfold by not changing the oil and keeping an eye on your fluids, and also being being respectful to your car. So I think this is just very, very important to talk about. So yeah, the people that, you know, buy these JB4s and they do these on their cars, they are, in sort of a sense, you know, kind of creating a ticking time bomb. And then you buy the car at 30 or 40,000 miles and the turbos go out. And you're like, oh man, this car sucks. And then you keep the JB4 that you've added and your lower downpipes and your blow-off valves and a combination of the catback exhaust, and you're not tuned for all that exciting stuff, then your turbos are going to wear out again. And plus too, I think also good to mention, and I have plenty of videos on this, is a catch can, an oil catch can. I do not support the Add1 W1 catch can. I think they're literally, I mean, I've done countless hours of research, not lately, but you know, last year, and I think they're junk. They're untested. They were just stuck on the car. A company just, you know, saw an avenue to buy into a catch can, turn it around, get some YouTubers to make some videos on it, hand them out free, and then just get the masses to buy the Add W1 or the version 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I didn't fall for that. I went with the Mishimoto catch can, and basically you can watch my videos. It's got a baffle system in it, not a baffle system, but a filtration micron filter. I think it's a 50 micron filter, and that cuts out, and I'm not going to go into detail, but I'm going to just real fast. It sends it through. You want to have a long hose, and you want it to come in because it's in a vapor form when it leaves the motor. It's got oil vaporized into a vapor, and so it's not liquid at that time. And then it's got some other combustion parts of the combustion that are turned into vapor as well. And so it goes through that longer hose, and in that longer hose it cools down a little bit, and as it cools down a little bit, it condenses and it turns back more to a solid water-like or fluid-like substance. And then it goes in, and that filter, or that micron filter, actually catches moisture, and it captures fumes, and it captures a whole lot of things. And so just a baffle system, they just throw baffled out there. Baffled, triple bastard, I mean triple baffled, quadruple baffled, you know, and make ooh, ah. And the baffling is not doing much. It does capture and allow more cooling to happen, but you've got to have that filter on there. But yeah, so the Mishimoto catch can, I mean, I put that on my car at a couple hundred miles, and I'm so thankful that I've had that now on my car. But yeah, so again, people that are looking at these cars, I mean, I love my car. I mean, it's one of my greatest cars, and I can see myself. I never hang on to my cars in the last 15 years for more than 2 to 2.5 years. I get bored with them. I want something else. You know, something better is out there. I want to switch to a truck. I want to go to a car. You know, I just see things, I buy things kind of on a whim, and that's the way I do it. But with this car, I value it so much, and it's such a good car. I would be an idiot to sell it or trade it in, or, you know, give up this car, because I don't drive the piss out of it, and I do some things so that I don't drive it so often, and it's got low miles on it. And if you take care of it, it'll be a great car for, you know, probably the next 5 years. And then down the road, because I have turned my turbos up, I do drive the car hard on occasion, as you will see in one of my videos. I did like 10 runs, you know, 0 to 70, all out, hardcore launch control, and that stuff is hard on all the components of the car. You do that, you know, 100 times, and it just puts a lot of strain on things. So, you know, 5 years from now, hopefully, you know, I don't tear up my turbos, but I take really good care. And so, you know, in 5 years from now, I can digest not buying a new car and taking $5,000 and getting a new turbo setup, you know, not these pure turbos. I've never been into the Pure 1 and Pure 2 and the RT turbos. That's just basically the stock turbo, just, you know, modified. And I would want to get a whole new turbo and get a larger turbo package, step up a size, and go with that. And when they've really researched it and developed it and created some new parts. And so I don't want upgraded factory turbos. I mean, this car's got so much low end as it is now, and that's why it has such struggle with off the line traction. These little turbos just spool up so quick. And this was the way in my Ford Focus ST. And, you know, they've got plenty of years after the ones that I had where people started putting a slightly bigger turbo in there and adding mid-range and top end instead of this improving on the low end and the spool up, which this car does not need. You're adding more of that pickup in the mid-range to the top end, which is going to help gain you some traction, but then really kill it in the mid-range and the top end of the quarter mile, the 1/8 mile, or your 60 to 130. So, you know, and then they're going to become even more affordable, you know, the turbo packages. And you're going to get a Garrett turbo, or I can't recall the different high-end turbos now, you know, the ball bearing turbo, and they've got different variations of turbos that are really, really cool. And who's going to know what in a year or 2 years they have? Drop Bear is making, hopefully coming out soon with their turbo upgrade package. And I would still just stay on 93 fuel for the time. I'm not going to spend $3,000 on E85 setup and all that stuff. It's just not in my wheelhouse. But yeah, maybe have the car now where it's at about 510 torque and close to 500 horsepower, not wheel horsepower, but motor horsepower. And then, you know, maybe jump up 20 horsepower with a new turbo. So other than that, I'm not going to bore you with that detail. And I'm kind of getting away from my subject of my video. But yeah, I would seriously be really, really concerned about buying these cars used. Do your research. Buy from a very reputable company. I've heard nightmare stories of these all these different online car sellers. You know, you just have no idea where this car comes from, you know. And then you got the cars that you're buying. I just want to touch on this before I leave you in this video. You buy these cars from a 20, 30-year-old, 40-year-old that has gone gung-ho with his car, ripped out his entertainment screen. Well, I've got to have the latest, you know, I got to have this. And that goes into electrical issues. And then when you start having electrical issues, when you go in and modify the stereo and you go in and modify wires and things, that's just something that now that when you buy a nice car, you don't want to do that. Also too, you have people that immediately go in and take out the suspension and update the suspension. Those serious alterations in the car, and then they drive them hard, and then right when they sell them, they rip all the components off. They take no effort, and they don't put any of what they need to back when they put the parts on. It's kind of like, just a half-assed way of getting it done, because you're selling the car, you don't care. You're throwing back on your lower down pipes, your factory lower down pipes, or your full down pipes. You're putting back in your factory air boxes, and you just skip steps, or your factory intercooler, and you just don't take the same care, or you just do it on a whim, and you're getting a car back that I was no way in hell am I buying a car like that, and you shouldn't either. So and you don't know unless you have history or you personally know the car, and so I just want to bring this video because this is always on my mind thinking about it, and I just didn't really think about making a future updated video, but I think this is very, very important for people to know. But that's what you're buying into. I honestly want to say maybe 70% of the time, that's my opinion. This whole video is my opinion. But up to 70% of the time when you buy these, a red sport, a Q60, a Q50, a non-red sport, you're buying into potential problems. And that's a way with a lot of performance cars that you buy. Performance cars, people drive them hard, and that's why they're performance cars, but you can buy a car right, and that's just what I want to explain in this video, and hopefully people find it appreciative. A lot of people are looking to buy this car. People that come to my videos, I don't have a ton of followers, but I mean an overwhelming are people like, I'm thinking about getting this, I want to get this, and this is what I like. I'm entertaining the idea of buying one. How do I buy one? Blah blah blah. So so hopefully everyone found this video helpful. And I like making videos, and I appreciate everyone again, and I don't just say that lightly, but I appreciate everyone because I'm going to make videos anyway, but it's more fun, more entertaining to have people watch the videos than just me making videos. So again, I appreciate everybody. There's just a lot of key things in here, going on, running these cars without upgraded heat exchangers and having them jump into limp mode. It's just, back and forth. It's just hard on the vehicles. And then you got the people doing donuts in parking lots and, smoky burnouts and different switches under the dash to allow them to, defeat fail safes in the car. I mean, just, it's not good. It's not good. So you want to buy a car that's taken care of and you're going to value and take care of. So other than that, I'll catch everyone on the next video. Hopefully I can come out with some more decent content. All right then, enough said. Bye-bye and have a great afternoon.